slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't.
Okay team, I was recently asked, can you run a marathon in 10 weeks? And of course, all of us are going to have a different viewpoint on this. Some runners out there for sure can really get in phenomenal shape in a matter of 10 weeks. I've always preached that a longer buildup is a better plan of action if you're going to run the marathon distance, because it's such a complex event. It takes more time for your body to adapt to the workouts you're throwing at yourself. And as I've mentioned in other videos, it does take about 28 days for your body to adapt to the specific stresses you're placing on it. So if you're having a really hard time right now doing like 10 to 12 400s at 75 seconds a quarter, if you continue to do that for 4 weeks, after that 28 days or around 28 days, you're not going to be as stressed out on being able to perform at that specific intensity after you've done that specific workout over those 4 weeks. And so I think a lot of times as we train for the marathon, it's very easy to get discouraged, to second guess yourself, when really what it is just a matter of time. It's a matter of allowing yourself sufficient time to adapt to what you're throwing at yourself in training, knowing that the body will adapt physiologically to what you're asking of it. And I think that 10 weeks is a generally decent amount of time to prepare for a marathon, but if you're aiming to really do it properly, aim for 20 to 24 weeks, because again, you're not rushing yourself. You're not trying to cram all of your training in a very short amount of time. And so I think the folks that ask this question of can you run a marathon in 10 weeks, you can, absolutely. You can. I would definitely, if you try to run a marathon with no training whatsoever, you're really going to be asking quite a lot out of yourself. So 10 weeks is better than no days of training. But the more time you prepare for a marathon, the better the chances that you're going to succeed over the distance. If you're a new viewer of my channel, I believe in varied pace long runs. Okay, what I don't mean by that is you start doing varied pace long runs in the first week of your buildup. I think that it's important to do about 4 to 6 weeks of easy long runs, and then gradually extending the duration of your long runs, increasing that the distance of your long runs by about 10% each week. Okay, but I don't think that I don't really necessarily believe, especially if you're trying to run a very fast marathon, or if you're trying to drop significant time off of your current marathon personal best, that just running easy every single weekend is the answer. Okay, because we do have to stress the physiological systems of our body. We have to get beyond just running long, slow, steady paces every weekend. Okay, I believe that you should run easy one weekend, and then the following week you run a very paced effort where you're running a few of those miles. An example of this might be like a 20-mile run, 32 kilometers. You run the first 5 miles easy. You run the next 5 miles at, say, 15 seconds slower than your goal race pace, marathon race pace. 5 miles easy, and then 10 seconds per mile faster than goal marathon race pace. Between 10 and 20 seconds faster than goal marathon race pace the last 5 miles of your 20-miler. Okay. This is the type of training that helped me go from a 2:43 to a 2:19. That's a massive jump in time. Okay, going from 6:14 mile pace to 5:19 mile pace is a massive jump in capability. And the way I was doing it is, earlier on when I first started running marathons, I didn't know really how to train for one. I was always in high school and college. I was training for the 1600 meter when I was in high school, 3200 meters in high school. Then went to college and then started focusing more on the 1,500 to 5,000 meters. And then after I graduated from college, I joined the military in 2002 and was running some road races, ran a couple half marathons in college, ran some 10-mile races and half marathon races after college. but I never envisioned running a marathon, so I really didn't know what I was doing. I would do the track workouts. If you want to run a strong marathon, especially in 10 weeks, you want to start implementing some hill repetitions into your workouts. That might mean like all out efforts for like 50 meters. Maybe find a hill that's 50 meters long and doing 10 to 20 reps up that hill all out, and then walking or jogging on the way down based on your overall fitness. And then finding some longer hills, maybe 150 meters to 300 meters in length, and then running like the first 50% of the hill at a moderate effort, and then picking up all out on the last section of the hill. Okay, you should be doing some form of hill training at least once per week. Okay, no more than once per week, but either once per week or once every other week. Okay, that's a form of strength training. As a marathon runner, we still need speed. You still need to be able to pick up the pace and to have that stamina and have that speed to call upon, even though you're a long distance runner. Okay, we can always work on our speed. So make sure you're doing that in your 10-week block of training. Again, if you're doing it in 10 weeks versus a 20 to 24 weeks build up, you have to remember that it does take about 4 weeks for the body to adapt. So the longer the build up, the higher percentage of a chance of being successful in this event. Not to say that you can't do it in 10 weeks. Of course, you can. The question here is, can you run a marathon in 10 weeks? Yes, you can definitely run a marathon in 10 weeks and get in the proper shape to start and finish a marathon successfully in 10 weeks. I think if you're wanting to get much more specific and you want to maybe like break a 3-hour marathon or break a 4-hour marathon or qualify for the Boston Marathon, which is even more competitive and gets more tough each year, the higher the standards, the more specific and the more niche down you have to be with your training. But the hill training and as a form of speed training is absolutely essential. 1 speed session per week. The types of workouts I would be doing, I was doing over the years, training for marathons, was like 6 times 1,600 meter on the track, 3 times 3,200 meters on the track. For me, when I was aiming to try to break 222, I was wanting to run under 5:25 mile pace, I was aiming to get all of my 1,600 meter reps under 5-minute pace, and most of the time it was under 450 mile pace. Because again, you got to get that 5:25 mile pace to feel easier, to more sustainable, and that's to break 222. Okay, if you're trying to break 4 hours, you have to get 909 mile pace or 541 kilometer pace to feel easier for you. So you're not going to be able to do that if you're running 90% of your weekly volume at 11-minute mile pace. Okay, yes, you're building that endurance, you're building that base of aerobic mileage, but you have to get more niche down. You have to be much more specific in, okay, what I need to find a way to slow down less than my competition. So I have to be smarter with my volume. Okay, you can run a lot of mileage, but if too much of that mileage is run too slow, it's just going to make you a long, slow distance runner. Okay, so can you run a marathon in 10 weeks? You can, and you can build definitely a strong base of aerobic mileage, and you can definitely generate some significant fitness in a matter of 10 weeks. But if you're wanting to drop, say, 30 minutes off your marathon time, or you're trying to run much faster and trying to achieve even higher goals in regards to your marathoning, focus on a longer build-up. Okay, on RunDreamAchieve.com, I have 20 and 24-week plans that I've created for athletes that are trying to break specific time goals. I've created running courses on RunDreamAchieve.com for athletes that are trying to break the 5-hour marathon, 4-hour marathon, 3-hour marathon, and the 2-hour and 30-minute marathon barrier. So those are some resources and tools that you can check out on RunDreamAchieve.com. I also coach online as well, working with about 11 athletes right now that many of which are trained for the marathon. Okay, so it takes patience. It takes a great deal of time and effort to get this event right. I started running these events in 2002, the marathon distance specifically, and took me 5 years after that to run my PR of 2:19:35, and then I trained for another decade after that, up until 2018, trying to improve on that time. The closest I could get was 2:26:42. Okay, so it's a tough event. I certainly didn't master it overnight, and I never mastered it in my entire career. I mean, I could always try to make some adjustments in what I was doing. But again, one hill training per week or every other week, you want to have a speed session in there with a mixture of both shorter, much faster anaerobic sections of that workout, like doing repeat 200s, repeat 300s, where you're forcing yourself to work on your form, your leg lift, your arm carriage. You really have to pump your arms more, and working at paces that are down toward your, around 5K to 10K race paces that right off the bat that you're not going to hold for a marathon. But if you're training at those specific intensities once per week, training at your VO2 max, running around 95 to 100% of your max heart rate, the marathon distance and the marathon goal race pace that you're aiming for is not going to be as difficult for you. It's still going to be a challenge, but you will have trained yourself properly. Okay, the world's top runners are running around 30 to 40% of their weekly volume, running around their anaerobic threshold. Okay, they make it look easy for a reason. They're just running more quality miles than you are. Okay, and it's not just because they're Kenyan or Ethiopian. I mean, I've beaten Kenyans, I've beaten Ethiopians, I've beaten other athletes from other parts of the world as well when I was in my prime. And they bleed red just like us. They put their pants on one leg at a time like us. They have doubts, they have concerns. So when you see these runners in your local events, or when you compete in these marathons, don't put them on a pedestal. They're just human, just like you and I, and they can be beat. But if you're going to be able to beat them, I can promise you from my own experience that you have to live running. You have to think and put all of your emphasis on this particular sport if you truly want to get to the next level and compete at that type of level. Now, of course, you that might not be a goal for you. Okay, maybe you just want to start and finish a marathon and improve on your time. Okay, it's still going to require a great deal of effort. You have to be willing to put in that workouts, those workouts that are required. One speed session per week, one doing some hill repetitions, shorter reps, higher, longer, and a little bit less aggressive reps once a week or once every other week. One long run per week, okay? But just don't run easy and slow every single weekend. Do it every other weekend, okay? Mix up some easy, relaxed long runs, so you're just building that endurance, building that aerobic mileage. And then the following week, start challenging yourself a little bit. If you're earlier on in your build-up, then maybe you're doing, say, a 14-mile run, and you're running the first 4 miles easy, 2 miles at goal marathon race pace, 4 miles easy, 2 miles at goal marathon race pace. You can change this up a little bit. It's sort of like fartlek training as well, where you're running maybe like 20 minutes of 1 minute hard, 1 minute easy. You can do that in the middle of your long runs as well. Again, you're varying up the paces. You're challenging the anaerobic systems of the body plus the aerobic systems of the body. And as you do that, and over time, over a 28-day period, the body will adapt to that stress that you're placing on yourself. And then that pace that you were really having a difficult time holding in the early few weeks of your buildup, it's not going to challenge you anymore, because again, you've adapted, and you've challenged yourself in training. You've allotted sufficient time for your body to adapt. You've recovered. You focused on your nutrition. Your body super compensates for those workouts over time, and you become much, much stronger. So I hope this video answers, can you run a marathon in 10 weeks? If you have any other questions regarding the marathon distance, believe me, I can bounce some ideas off me if you want. Okay, if you have any other questions or concerns regarding this event, let me know in the comment section below. I'll definitely reach back out and respond to you. So thank you so much for your support. Check out the resources below these videos or on RunDreamAchieve.com if you're ready to take your training and racing to the next level, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.